Look, I'm not going to sit here and promise you some magical overnight transformation or sell you some complicated system that requires you to overhaul your entire existence. What I am going to show you are 7 stupidly simple habits that take less than 20 minutes each, cost practically nothing, and created changes in my life that I honestly didn't think were possible in just 7 days. We're talking about waking up actually excited for the day, having energy that lasts past 3 p.m. without caffeine crashes, feeling genuinely happy for no specific reason, and going to bed each night proud of how you spent your time. But here's the thing, I almost didn't try these because they seemed too basic, too simple to actually work. I was wrong. Dead wrong. Habit 1, the 5 a.m. success formula. Why waking up early changed everything. Okay, let's be real for a second. If someone told me a year ago that I'd be voluntarily waking up at 5 a.m. every day, I would have laughed in their face. My bed was literally my best friend, and I was hitting that snooze button like it was my job. But this one habit, it completely transformed everything. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest with you here, because I think a lot of people sugarcoat this. The first 3 days were absolutely brutal. I'm talking zombie-level exhaustion, questioning all my life choices, wondering if this was some form of self-torture I'd signed up for. But here's what nobody tells you about those early morning hours. There's something almost magical about being awake before the rest of the world. Think about it. No notifications pinging, no traffic noise, no demands on your attention. It's just you and this incredible sense of peace and possibility. The 3-step morning routine that works. Here's exactly what I did with those precious morning hours. And this is the routine that changed everything. Step 1, light movement. I'm not talking about some intense CrossFit session here. I started with simple stretching, right in my living room. Maybe some basic yoga poses, or on really good days, a gentle jog around the neighborhood. The goal wasn't to exhaust myself. It was to wake up my body and get that blood flowing. Step 2, mindful moments. This is where I set my intentions for the day. Sometimes it was meditation, sometimes just sitting quietly with my coffee, thinking about what I wanted to accomplish. I wasn't trying to solve world peace, just getting clear on my priorities. Step 3, fuel and plan. For the first time in years, I actually ate breakfast sitting down. I know, revolutionary, right? But seriously, having time to plan my day, enjoy my coffee, maybe read a few pages of a book, it set this incredible tone of calm control that lasted all day. And then there was this one morning, day 5, I think, when I stepped onto my balcony with my coffee and watched the sunrise. I know it sounds cheesy, but guys, when was the last time you actually watched the sun come up? As I stood there watching the sky change from deep purple to soft pink to brilliant gold, I felt this overwhelming sense of gratitude and possibility. It was like the world was giving me a fresh start every single morning, and I'd been sleeping through it for years. How to actually become a morning person. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's great for you, but I'm just not a morning person. I get it. I really do. But here's the thing, neither was I. Here's how you can actually make this work. Start ridiculously small. Don't go from waking up at 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. overnight. That's a recipe for failure. Start with just 15 minutes earlier than usual. Just 15 minutes. Once that feels normal, add another 15 minutes. Make it worth it. Don't just wake up early to stare at them wall. Have something you're excited about waiting for you. Maybe it's that book you've been wanting to read. Maybe it's a special coffee blend. Maybe it's watching the sunrise like I did. Be gentle with yourself. Some days you'll hit snooze. Some days you'll feel tired. That's normal. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Quick question, drop a comment below. What time do you currently wake up, and what would you do with an extra hour in the morning? I'm genuinely curious, and I read every single comment. Habit 2, 20-minute movement miracle. How daily exercise transformed my mind and body. All right, confession time. I was the queen of excuses when it came to exercise. I'm too tired. I don't have time. I'll start on Monday. Sound familiar? I had literally every excuse in the book, and I used them all. But here's what happened when I committed to just 20 minutes of movement every single day for 1 week. Let's address the elephant in the room first. When most people think about daily exercise, they picture these intense, hour-long gym sessions that leave you completely wiped out. But that's not what this is about at all. I'm talking about 20 minutes. That's less time than you probably spend scrolling through TikTok before bed. And here's the kicker, it doesn't even have to be the same thing every day. Here's exactly how I structured my week and why this approach works so well. Monday and Wednesday, yoga flow, 20 minutes. I started with basic YouTube videos. Nothing fancy, nothing that required me to twist into a pretzel. Just gentle stretching and breathing. Tuesday and Thursday, strength training, 20 minutes. Again, nothing crazy. Bodyweight exercises, push-ups, squats, planks. I used my living room floor and my own body weight. Friday, dance or cardio, 20 minutes. This was my fun day. Sometimes I'd put on music and just dance around my apartment like nobody was watching. Other times, a brisk walk or light jog. Weekend, adventure days, this could be hiking, swimming, playing with my dog at the park, anything that got me moving and felt like play rather than work. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Days 1 through 3, I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. My muscles were sore. I was tired, and I honestly questioned whether this was worth it. But on day 4, And I remember this so clearly. I woke up and felt different. Instead of dragging myself out of bed, I actually had energy. Instead of feeling grumpy and irritable, I felt positive, optimistic. It was like someone had flipped a switch in my brain. What I didn't expect was how much this affected my mental health. Those 20 minutes became my time to disconnect from everything else and just focus on me. When I was doing yoga, I wasn't thinking about my to-do list or my problems. I was just breathing and moving. When I was jogging, it became this moving meditation where I could process my thoughts and feelings. And when I was dancing in my living room, I felt this incredible sense of freedom and joy that I hadn't experienced in years. Can I share something personal with you? I was terrified to try yoga. I thought I wasn't flexible enough. I thought it wouldn't be a real workout. I thought I'd look ridiculous. But after my first 20-minute session, I was hooked. It wasn't about the physical poses, though those got easier over time. It was about learning to be present in my body, to breathe deeply, to listen to what I needed. Yoga taught me that exercise could be a form of self-care rather than punishment. Now, let's talk about the physical changes, because I know that's what a lot of you are wondering about. In 1 week, I didn't lose 20 pounds or suddenly have abs. Let's be realistic here. But what I did notice was that I stood up straighter. I felt stronger carrying groceries up the stairs. I had more energy throughout the day. And most importantly, I felt proud of myself for keeping this commitment to my health. I know some of you are thinking, but I hate exercise, or I don't have time, or I'm not athletic. I get it. I was you just 8 days ago. Here's the truth. You don't have to love it immediately. I didn't love it on day 1, but I started to enjoy it, and eventually I started to crave it. You don't need equipment or a gym. Your living room floor is enough. YouTube is free. Your body is the only equipment you need. It's not about being perfect. Some days, my workout was dancing to 3 songs while I made dinner. That counts too. Okay, your turn. In the comments, tell me, what's your biggest excuse for not exercising? No judgment here. I've probably used the same one. And if you're already active, what's your favorite way to move your body? Let's motivate each other. Habit 3, the power of paper therapy. How 10 minutes of journaling unlocked my potential. Okay, full transparency here. When someone first suggested journaling to me, I rolled my eyes so hard I think I saw my brain. I thought it was just for people with way too much time on their hands, or those naturally deep, introspective types. I mean, who sits down and writes about their feelings every day, right? Well, apparently now I do, and it's been absolutely life-changing. The simple setup. Here's what I love about this habit. It's probably the simplest one on this entire list. You need 2 things, a notebook and a pen. That's it. No apps, no fancy journals, no special equipment. I bought a plain notebook from the dollar store and a pen. That felt good in my hand. The key is making it feel comfortable and accessible, not intimidating or precious. The 10-minute nightly routine. Cozy, intimate setting, maybe dim lighting. Every night before bed, I set aside just 10 minutes for journaling. 10 minutes. That's less time than you spend brushing your teeth and washing your face. I'd sit on my bed or at my kitchen table, open to a fresh page, and just start writing. The first night, I literally stared at that blank page for 5 minutes, wondering what the heck I was supposed to write. About what to actually write. But then I started simple. How did my day go? What made me happy today? What was challenging? What am I feeling right now? No fancy prompts, no profound insights required. Just honest stream of consciousness, writing about my day and my feelings. The pattern recognition breakthrough. Here's where it gets really interesting. After about 4 days of consistent journaling, I started noticing patterns. I could see one. Paper that certain situations consistently stressed me out, while others brought me joy. For example, I noticed that every time I wrote about feeling overwhelmed, it was because I'd said yes to too many things that day. Seeing that pattern in black and white was like a light bulb moment. I could actually do something about it. The stressful day story. Let me tell you about this one particularly rough day I had at work. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. I came home feeling completely defeated and drained. But instead of just scrolling through my phone or watching TV to distract myself, I sat down with my journal. I wrote about what specifically had stressed me out, how it made me feel, and what I could do differently next time. By the time I finished writing, I felt this incredible sense of clarity and control. It was like I'd taken all these swirling, chaotic thoughts and emotions and organized them into something manageable. That's when I realized journaling was like having a therapy session with myself. The gratitude game changer. About halfway through the week, I started adding a gratitude section to my journal. Every day, I'd write down 3 things I was grateful for. And guys, this simple practice completely shifted my perspective. Instead of focusing on what went wrong or what I was lacking, I started noticing and appreciating the good things that were already in my life. Some days it was big things, like my health or my family. Other days it was tiny things, like the perfect cup of coffee or a text from a friend. The grocery bag kindness story. There was this one day when I was struggling to carry my grocery bags up to my apartment. My arms were full. I was juggling my keys, and I was about to drop everything when this complete stranger offered to help. It was such a small act of kindness, but when I wrote about it that night, I realized how much it had meant to me. Not only did it make me feel grateful, but it also inspired me to look for ways to help others. In small ways, too. That journal entry led to me becoming more aware of opportunities to be kind to strangers, the self-discovery element. Through journaling, I discovered things about myself that I'd never really acknowledged before. I learned what my true values were, what my fears were, what I really wanted out of life. I wrote about dreams I'd forgotten I had, insecurities I'd been carrying around, strengths I didn't know I possessed. It was like getting to know myself all over again, but as an adult with more wisdom and self-compassion. The progress tracking magic. One of the most motivating aspects was being able to track my progress. I'd write about challenges I was facing, goals I was working toward, small victories along the way. Looking back at entries from earlier in the week and seeing how I'd grown or how situations had improved filled me with this incredible sense of accomplishment and hope, making it work for you. Now, if you're thinking about trying journaling, here's my advice. Don't overthink it. You don't need to write beautifully or have profound thoughts. You don't need to write for hours or fill up pages. Just write whatever comes to mind. It could be a stream of consciousness, a recap of your day, your hopes for tomorrow, thoughts, anything. The magic isn't in what you write, it's in the process of writing itself. I know some of you might be worried about privacy or what happens if someone reads your journal. Keep it somewhere private, or if you're really concerned, you could even try voice memos to yourself instead. Others might think they don't have anything interesting to write about. Trust me, your thoughts and experiences are more valuable than you think. You don't need to live an extraordinary life to have worthwhile things to journal about. I'm really curious, have any of you tried journaling before? What was your experience like? And if you haven't, what's holding you back? Drop a comment below because I love hearing about your personal growth journeys. Habit 4, Mindful Eating Revolution. How slowing down sped up my results. The distracted eating reality. Let me paint you a picture of how I used to eat and tell me if this sounds familiar. I'd grab my breakfast and eat it while checking emails on my phone. Lunch was usually consumed while working at my desk, barely tasting the food. Dinner, that was eaten in front of the TV, completely zoned out. I was going through the motions of eating without actually experiencing any of it. One day, I realized I couldn't even remember what I'd eaten for lunch, even though I'd finished it just an hour earlier. That's when it hit me. I was basically unconscious when it came to one of the most basic human experiences, nourishing my body. I was treating food like fuel that I needed to consume as efficiently as possible, rather than an experience to be enjoyed and appreciated. What mindful eating actually means? Mindful eating isn't some complicated philosophy or restrictive diet. It's simply about paying full attention to the experience of eating and drinking. It's about engaging all your senses and being present with your food. Think of it this way: when you're mindlessly scrolling through your phone while eating, you're basically missing out on one of life's daily pleasures. You're there, but you're not really there. Setting the mindful eating scene. Here's exactly how I transformed my eating experience, and you can do this too. Step 1. Create a peaceful environment. I cleared my dining table. Yes, I actually started eating at a table instead of the couch. I set a nice place for myself. Maybe lit a candle, put my phone in another room. Step 2. Remove all distractions. No TV, no phone, laptop, no book. Just me and my food. This felt weird at first. I'm not going to lie. We're so used to multitasking that just sitting with our food feels almost uncomfortable initially. Step 3. Begin with intention before taking my first bite. I'd take a few deep breaths to center myself and bring my focus to the present moment. Sometimes, I'd even take a moment to appreciate where the food came from, or feel grateful for having it. The food revelation. You guys, this is going to sound so simple, but it blew my mind. When I started actually paying attention to my food, it was like I was tasting things for the first time. Foods I'd eaten hundreds of times before suddenly had flavors and textures I'd never noticed. The crunch of fresh vegetables was more satisfying. The sweetness of fruit was more pronounced. It was like experiencing food in high definition after years of watching fuzzy TV. The oatmeal transformation story. Let me tell you about this one bowl of oatmeal that completely changed my perspective. Normally, oatmeal was just something I wolfed down while getting ready for work. Bland, boring, just fuel. But on day 3 of mindful eating, I sat down with that bowl and really paid attention. I noticed the creamy texture, the subtle nuttiness of the oats, the way the honey I drizzled on top created little pockets of sweetness. I chewed slowly, put my spoon down between bites, and actually savored each mouthful. That simple bowl of oatmeal became this moment of gratitude and mindfulness that set a positive tone for my entire day. Here's something I didn't expect at all. When I started eating slowly and mindfully, I naturally started eating less, and I felt more satisfied than ever. When you eat quickly, your brain doesn't have time to register that you're full. It takes about 20 minutes for your stomach to signal to your brain that you've had enough. By slowing down, I was giving my body time to communicate with me. I found myself stopping when I was satisfied rather than when my plate was empty. This wasn't about restriction or willpower, it was about actually listening to my body's natural cues. Another unexpected benefit was becoming aware of how different foods made me feel. When I was eating mindfully, I started noticing that heavy processed foods left me feeling sluggish and bloated, while fresh, whole foods made me feel energized and light. This awareness led me to make healthier choices naturally, without feeling deprived or like I was following some strict diet. I was choosing foods based on how they made me feel, not just how they tasted in the moment. The emotional eating breakthrough. This is where mindful eating got really powerful for me. I started recognizing when I was eating for reasons other than hunger. When I was bored, stressed, sad, or just seeking comfort. There was this one evening when I had a craving for something sweet after dinner. Instead of automatically reaching for ice cream, I paused and asked myself, am I actually hungry, or am I looking for something else? I realized I wasn't hungry at all. I'd had a long, stressful day, and I was seeking comfort and reward. Instead of eating, I made it myself a cup of herbal tea and took a relaxing bath. It was a small victory, but it showed me how powerful this awareness could be. Something else I noticed was that my digestion improved dramatically. When you're stressed or distracted while eating, your body isn't in the optimal state for digestion. But when you're relaxed and mindful, your digestive system works much more efficiently. I stopped experiencing that uncomfortable, bloated feeling after meals, and I had more consistent energy throughout the day, making it practical. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds great, but I don't have time to make every meal a meditation session. I get it. Life is busy. Start with just one meal a day. Maybe it's breakfast. Maybe it's dinner. Whatever works for your schedule. Even if you can only manage this for 10 minutes, it's better than nothing. And remember, this isn't about perfection. There will still be times when you eat on the go or while multitasking. The goal is to bring more awareness to your eating habits, not to make every meal a formal ceremony. Practical tips. Here are some simple ways to incorporate mindful eating. Put your fork down between bites. This simple action naturally slows you down and helps you be more present. Chew thoroughly. Most of us barely chew our food. Try to chew each bite 20-30 times. It sounds like a lot, but it makes a huge difference. Eat in silence sometimes. Even just 5 minutes of silent eating can help you tune into your body's signals. Ask yourself questions. How does this taste? What's the texture like? How am I feeling as I eat this? Practice gratitude. Take a moment to appreciate your food. Where it came from, who prepared it, the fact that you have access to nourishing meals. I'm so curious about your eating habits. In the comments, tell me, what's your biggest challenge? When it comes to eating, do you eat while distracted? Do you eat too fast? Do you struggle with emotional eating? Let's be honest with each other. Judgment here, just support. Habit 5. Digital detox game changer. Why limiting screen time gave me my life back. The uncomfortable truth. Okay, this one is going to hit close to home for a lot of us, and I need you to be really honest with yourself here. When was the last time you went more than an hour without looking at a screen? I'm talking phone, computer, TV, tablet, any screen. If you're like I was, you probably can't even remember. I decided to check my screen time stats on my phone, and I was absolutely horrified. I was spending over 6 hours a day on my phone, alone. 6 hours. That's more time than I was spending sleeping some nights. And that didn't even include my computer time for work or the TV I'd mindlessly watch in the evenings. I was literally living more of my life through screens than in the actual world. So I made a commitment that honestly scared me a little bit. I decided to limit my non-work screen time to just 1 hour per day for an entire week. No mindless Instagram scrolling, no YouTube rabbit holes, no Netflix binges, no late-night phone checking. 1 hour. That's it. For someone who was used to hours of screen time daily, this felt like going cold turkey. I'm not going to sugarcoat this the first 2 days. Were tough. I caught myself reaching for my phone dozens of times out of pure habit. I'd pick it up, remember my commitment, and have to physically put it down. I realized how much I'd been using screens to fill every tiny gap in my day. Waiting for the elevator, check phone. Commercial break, check phone. Feeling bored or anxious, scroll through social media. I had trained my brain to expect constant stimulation. Suddenly removing that felt uncomfortable and weird. But here's what happened that I absolutely didn't expect. I suddenly had so much time. Like, where had all these hours been? Hiding? With those extra hours, I rediscovered parts of myself that I'd forgotten existed. I picked up that book I'd been meaning to read for months. I started doodling and drawing again, something I used to love but hadn't done in years. I tried cooking new recipes instead of ordering takeout. There was this one evening that perfectly captures why this habit was so transformative. Instead of my usual routine of collapsing on the couch and mindlessly watching TV after dinner, I decided to take a walk in the park. As I walked, I noticed things I'd never paid attention to before: the sound of birds, the way the evening light filtered through them, trees, the smell of someone's barbecue, neighbors working in their gardens. I felt this incredible sense of connection to my surroundings and to myself. I wasn't consuming someone else's content. I was creating my own experience. It was refreshing in a way I hadn't felt in years. One of the most dramatic changes was in my sleep quality. I used to take my phone to bed and scroll through social media or watch videos until I felt sleepy. But this habit often left me feeling wired and restless, and it took forever to actually fall asleep. By cutting out screens before bed, I found it much easier to wind down naturally. I started a bedtime routine that didn't involve screens. Reading a physical book, doing some gentle stretching, or just reflecting on my day. I fell asleep faster, slept more deeply, and woke up feeling actually rested instead of groggy and tired. Here's something I didn't anticipate but was incredibly grateful for: my mental health improved dramatically. Without the constant barrage of news updates, social media, comparisons, and digital distractions, I felt less anxious and more present. I wasn't constantly comparing my life to the highlight reels I saw online. I wasn't getting overwhelmed by information I couldn't do anything about. I was more focused during conversations, more attentive to the people around me, and more engaged in my daily activities. It was like a fog had lifted, allowing me to see and experience life more clearly. There was this one afternoon that really stuck with me. I went to a local cafe with just a notebook and a pen. No phone, no laptop, nothing digital. I sat there for 2 hours, writing down my thoughts, planning some goals, sketching a bit, people watching. It was such a peaceful and productive time, completely free from digital interruptions. I felt more connected to myself and my surroundings than I had in months. I watched other people in the cafe, and almost everyone was staring at a screen. I realized I used to be one of those people missing out on the simple pleasure of just being present in a beautiful space. Something else beautiful happened. My relationships improved. When I wasn't constantly distracted by my phone, I became a better listener, a more present friend, a more engaged family member. I started having deeper conversations because I wasn't half listening while thinking about what I wanted to check on my phone next. People noticed the difference, and my relationships became more meaningful and satisfying. Now, I know some of you are thinking, but what if I miss something important? Or what if there's an emergency? These were my fears too. Here's the truth. Nothing earth-shattering happened. During my offline hours, the world kept spinning. My friends didn't forget about me, and I didn't miss any truly important news or opportunities. If there was a real emergency, people knew how to reach me. Through calls. Everything else could wait an hour or two. If you want to try this but feel intimidated, here are some strategies that worked for me. Start smaller than I did. Maybe begin with just 30 minutes of screen-free time per day. Create physical barriers. I put my phone in another room during my screen-free hours. Have replacement activities ready. Make a list of things you can do instead of reaching for your phone. Use analog alternatives. Physical books instead of e-books. A paper notebook instead of note-taking apps. An actual alarm clock instead of your phone. Be patient with yourself. This is genuinely difficult in our hyper-connected world. It's normal to feel uncomfortable at first. I want to be clear, this isn't about completely eliminating technology from your life. Technology is a tool, and like any tool, it can be incredibly useful when used intentionally. The goal is to regain control over your relationship with screens instead of letting them control you. It's about being more intentional with your time and attention and making conscious choices about how you want to spend your precious hours. Even though this was just a one-week experiment, it fundamentally changed how I relate to technology. I'm much more mindful about when and why I pick up my phone. I've maintained many of the screen-free periods I established during that week. I feel more in control of my time, more present in my life, and more connected to the real world around me. Those extra hours I gained back, they've become some of the most fulfilling parts of my day. All right, truth time. I want you to check your screen time right now. Yes, right now. Look at your phone's screen time statistics and comment below with your daily average. No shame, just awareness. And then tell me, what would you do with an extra hour? Or two if you weren't on your phone? Let's hold each other accountable. Here's something I didn't anticipate but was incredibly grateful for. My mental health improved dramatically. Without the constant barrage of news updates, social media, comparisons, and digital distractions, I felt less anxious and more present. I wasn't constantly comparing my life to the highlight reels I saw online. I wasn't getting overwhelmed by information I couldn't do anything about. I was more focused during conversations, more attentive to the people around me, and more engaged in my daily activities. It was like a fog had lifted, allowing me to see and experience life more clearly. There was this one afternoon that really stuck with me. I went to a local cafe with just a notebook and a pen, no phone, no laptop, nothing digital. I sat there for 2 hours, writing down my thoughts, planning some goals, sketching a bit, people watching. It was such a peaceful and productive time, completely free from digital interruptions. I felt more connected to myself and my surroundings than I had in months. I watched other people in the cafe, and almost everyone was staring at a screen. I realized I used to be one of those people missing out. on the simple pleasure of just being present in a beautiful space. Something else beautiful happened. My relationships improved. When I wasn't constantly distracted by my phone, I became a better listener, a more present friend, a more engaged family member. I started having deeper conversations because I wasn't half listening while thinking about what I wanted to check on my phone next. People noticed the difference, and my relationships became more meaningful and satisfying. Now, I know some of you are thinking, but what if I miss something important? Or what if there's an emergency? These were my fears too. Here's the truth. Nothing earth-shattering happened. During my offline hours, the world kept spinning. My friends didn't forget about me, and I didn't miss any truly important news or opportunities. If there was a real emergency, people knew how to reach me through calls. Everything else could wait an hour or two. If you want to try this but feel intimidated, here are some strategies that worked for me. Start smaller than I did. Maybe begin with just 30 minutes of screen-free time per day. Create physical barriers. I put my phone in another room during my screen-free hours. Have replacement activities ready. Make a list of things you can do instead of reaching for your phone. Use analog alternatives. Physical books instead of e-books. A paper notebook instead of note-taking apps. An actual alarm clock instead of your phone. Be patient with yourself. This is genuinely difficult in our hyper-connected world. It's normal to feel uncomfortable at first. I want to be clear, this isn't about completely eliminating technology from your life. Technology is a tool, and like any tool, it can be incredibly useful when used intentionally. The goal is to regain control over your relationship with screens instead of letting them control you. It's about being more intentional with your time and attention and making conscious choices about how you want to spend your precious hours. Even though this was just a one-week experiment, it fundamentally changed how I relate to technology. I'm much more mindful about when and why I pick up my phone. I've maintained many of the screen-free periods I established during that week. I feel more in control of my time, more present in my life, and more connected to the real world around me. Those extra hours I gained back, they've become some of the most fulfilling parts of my day. All right, truth time. I want you to check your screen time right now. Yes, right now. Look at your phone's screen time statistics and comment below with your daily average. No shame, just awareness. And then tell me, what would you do with an extra hour? Or two if you weren't on your phone? Let's hold each other accountable. Habit 7, the gratitude loop. Why thanking the small things saved my sanity. Look, I used to think gratitude journaling was just one of those Pinterest trends, you know, the kind where you write, "I'm thankful for my coffee," and call it self-care. Cute, but not for me. But let me tell you something raw. I started doing it during one of the darkest phases of my life, not because I felt grateful, but because I was desperately trying to hold on to something, anything that reminded me life was still worth showing up for. Here's the truth no one really talks about. It's hard to feel grateful when you're drowning, when you're overwhelmed, exhausted, or just emotionally numb. The idea of practicing gratitude can feel almost insulting. Like, thanks, universe, for the emotional breakdown. But here's what I learned. A hard way gratitude isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's about finding one stable rock to stand on when everything else feels like it's falling apart. This isn't some 30-minute spiritual ritual I made. It's stupidly simple and weirdly powerful. Here's how my gratitude loop works. Every single morning in just 3 minutes. Step 1, one tiny win from yesterday. I'd write down one thing, just one, that went okay the day before. Not even great. Maybe I replied to a tough email. Maybe I went on a short walk. Maybe I didn't cry that day. Doesn't matter how small if it mattered to me. It counted. Step 2, one thing I'm thankful for right now. Not in theory right now. In that exact moment. The warmth of my tea. My dog sleeping next to me. The silence of the early morning. When I started noticing these things, my brain started scanning for more. It's like you train your thoughts to look for good, and once they do, they don't stop. Step 3, one thing I'm looking forward to. Even if it's just watching a show after work, talking to a friend, or wearing a cozy hoodie. This step shifted my mindset from just surviving to actually anticipating. Hope, even in its smallest form, can be a powerful thing. I remember this one morning I'd just written, "I'm grateful that I didn't give up yesterday." That was it. No poetic quote. No beautiful metaphor. Just that. And I stared at those words and thought, damn, that's enough. Sometimes gratitude isn't about joy. It's about survival. It's saying, I'm still here. I still have breath. And for now, that's something to be thankful for. How to actually make gratitude a daily habit. If you're thinking, yeah, but I don't have time for that, let me tell you, it takes less time than scrolling Instagram. And here's how to make it stick. Keep it messy. You don't need a fancy journal or cute handwriting. I've written on the back of receipts, napkins, even in my notes app. Anchor it to something. I did mine with my morning coffee. Some people do it before bed. Tie it to something you already do, like brushing your teeth or sitting in traffic. Let it be real. Don't force it. Don't fake it. If all you can say is, I'm grateful it didn't lose my mind today, that's valid. That's honest. That's healing. Now I want to hear from you. What's one thing, just one, that you're grateful for today? No matter how small. Drop it in the comments. You never know, your little moment might be the reminder someone else needed today.